Hello everybody and welcome back to NCAA 2004, the Alabama Crimson Tide Dynasty, and we are looking at Sports Illustrated because as you can see we are gracing the cover, getting some love from the computer allegedly. So we're going to take a look at bowl rankings. We've never done this, but it's important because if you haven't noticed, we haven't moved from number 4 in the country for several weeks, even though we've been winning. But according to the BCS computer, that doesn't seem to matter. They still look on us pretty favorably. So if we can just win out the rest of the year, tall order still, but if we can manage to win our last 4 games, then we will probably, regardless of rank, probably still make it to the BCS title game, or at least get that invitation. So these next few games are going to be crucial, and they're all against pretty tough opponents, including today's opponent, the reigning SEC champion, the Tennessee Volunteers. So we haven't really focused a lot on our rivalry with Tennessee in this series because we've kind of dominated it. So in the first 2 seasons, Tennessee wasn't all that good. They did win 9 games in year number 1, but we kind of beat them up 41-21 in year number 1, and then in year number 2, we beat them up even more. Well, the same kind of margin here. They just actually added a touchdown, 41-28, and they had a fall off in year number 2, the same way that we did. They also went 7-6. But then last year they had a pretty good year where they won 10 games and then played an extra game because of how the East played out in the SEC. They managed to go to the SEC title game, and they beat Arkansas from the West side and managed to win the SEC title. So not the best season because remember Arkansas went 11-1, 12-1 or something like that, and then lost the SEC title game. So Tennessee has been, a formidable foe, if you will, and they're going to be one of the people standing in our way to get to that 12-0 spot that we're really desperately trying to get to. So we're going to start things off here 1st and 10. Tennessee's going to go with an option play, and the quarterback's going to fumble the football on the ground. Steve Collins, the safety, is going to pick it up, and it's going to be a scoop and score. So already we're going to get a quick touchdown here in the first quarter off of a Tennessee offensive blunder. So the option typically works out in this game pretty well, with the quarterback trying to get a little bit too fancy. That ball was getting flipped around on a dog pile. Collins just picks it up and runs away, man. Just scoops that one up and scores. So big play by the safety there, as he gets a humongous scoop and score for this offense. So a 3rd and 2 for Tennessee, and they're going to try for the option play again, but this time they are successful as the quarterback is not only going to pick up the first down, but get him just inside of Crimson Tide territory. So this drive will continue for the Volunteers. So on 1st and 10, the quarterback's going to try and throw for it across the middle. He's going to find an open receiver who's just going to run away from the defenders and somehow has to step on all of these guys that were in perfect position to make a play, but somehow no one was able to get a good direction on the receiver, take a good route to the receiver, and he gets brought down at about the 1-yard line. So Tennessee's quarterback's just going to keep it himself and run it in. I think it was 2nd or 3rd and goal. So he manages to get in for the Volunteers. So they're going to tie things up with us here late in the first quarter. So Cobb steps up in the pocket and finds Chris Kelly, who's going to pick up a first down off of that catch. I think so. If they spot him favorably, I think the catch was past the sticks, and they do. So 1st and 10 now for the Crimson Tide, moving here closer into Volunteer territory. The play, pressure's on, and Cobb's going to run for it, and he's going to fumble the football. But fortunately, we do land on top of it as Lamont Farrell's in the upside down, I guess. He's in the void. I don't know where he went. But we do have the football still, so it's a gain of 4. So on 2nd and 6 now, time ticking away here. Cobb's going to drop back. Clean pocket, steps up, unloads one down the field, and finds Chris Kelly again down the left side of the field. And again, Kelly's not a guy who we've been calling a whole bunch so far this season, but he's still there, man. He's still there when it matters, when it counts. So it's going to be a long 1st and goal here from about the 9-yard line. Cobb's going to drop back, try and throw for it. He's going to float one out to the end zone, finds Lamont Farrell, the running back. And so Chris Kelly was out there again, on that side of the field, but Lamont Farrell running a route from the backfield. Keeps Tennessee's defense honest here, and we pick up our 2nd touchdown of the game, or first offensive touchdown of the game against Tennessee. So we have another shot with the football here a couple minutes into the 2nd quarter as Tennessee's offense has struggled to move the football. So 1st and 10 from about the Tennessee 49, and Cobb's going to bounce out of this option play and throw for it. It's Chad Whitaker wide open, and no one's around him. He's going to get into the end zone for a touchdown. I don't know what we just saw, man. The option play, I guess, kind of broke down Cobb, man, just kind of doing it himself. He's like, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to throw for it. And why not? When Chad Whitaker is this open, man, there was no one around him, no one for miles. That safety was the closest one, and even he didn't have a chance, didn't have a prayer. And so Chad Whitaker, the freshman, getting himself involved early in this game as well. We've seen quite a bit of him this year, kind of replacing Chris Kelly's role. We like that. So the pressure's on to Tennessee's quarterback, but he still finds a way to get rid of it. And surrounded by Crimson Tide defenders, somehow he comes down with it, man. Every linebacker, DB, and safety in the area was surrounding this guy, but somehow he comes down with it. I have no idea how. And the pressure just barely doesn't get home. So very close, but yeah, we can't manage to get there. And every name is out there. So on a 3rd and short situation, Tennessee's going to throw for it. And why not when you got guys open like that again? And it's Randolph making the tackle here, but the receiver still doesn't have a name. So Tennessee's still hanging on to some seniors apparently. But he makes the catch on the very next play, or a couple plays. I think it was 3rd and goal. Tennessee is going to capitalize, and they are going to cut into our lead once again here, getting back to just within 7. So 21-14 your score here, just under a minute left in the half. 3rd and 8, Cobb steps up and unloads one, and there is that trademark interception from Cobb that he is kind of prone to do, as we've seen in the last few weeks, really all year. Just good for that 1 or 2 picks a game, and hopefully it doesn't bite us in the back here as Tennessee's unable to do anything with the remaining time in the first half. So 20-14 your score, and so in the first play or first drive, Tennessee has a 3rd down, and they managed to pick up the first down. It was a long 3rd to go, and they managed to pick it up. So we have a chance to get off the field quickly, get Tennessee's offense off the field quickly, and our defense cannot strengthen up here. So Tennessee's going to continue their drive. So on 1st and 10 now, very early on in the second half, quarterback's going to drop back here. Not a ton of pressure. He's looking for a place to throw, and he throws it down the sideline, and it's caught, and it's a foot race between Randolph and Collins and this receiver, and he manages to pick up a good chunk of yardage. So Tennessee's going to flip the field. So after we almost had him on a 3rd down, they managed to pick up a whole lot more. So on 3rd and 5, we do manage to stop him this time as pressure gets into the backfield, and we are able to stop Tennessee's offensive reign of terror here. And so on a 4th down, they're going to bring up the field goal unit to try and nail home 3 extra points, and they manage to do it. So this now emulates the score from last season in which we lost to Tennessee 17-21. So if the score holds, man, we'll flip it. But obviously we're trying to do a little bit more. There's plenty of time here on offense. Cobb here looking for a place to go with the ball, and he finds Chad Whitaker, the freshman. And there's Chris Kelly again, man. He's in the play, but he's not really doing a whole lot. That pick was to Chad Kelly too. We tried, or Chris Kelly. I'm getting confused now. That interception that Cobb threw was to Chris Kelly, and so you see, trying to get him to football, just not working. Maybe Cobb just can't see him over there. So on a 2nd and 10 now, man's going to go in motion. Cobb's going to drop back here. Pressure gets picked up nicely. Cobb gets rid of it to Kelly across the middle and picks up a 1st down, but there's a flag on the field. So what is that hanky? It came in late on this play, and that's because it was a face mask, and not just any face mask, but the egregious 15-yard kind. So that's going to set us up perfectly inside the 15-yard line in the red zone here against Tennessee. So on a 3rd and 8, Tennessee's defense is really trying to keep us out of the end zone, trying to keep this game manageable. Cobb floats one out there to Whitaker quickly on a slant, and he picks up the 1st down and gets that catch inside the 5. So we are still moving, baby. Keep the chains moving, keep the ball moving, as it is now going to be goal to go for this Crimson Tide offense. A nice little insurance score here. And we're going to hand off to number 15, the fullback, and he's going to step in to the end zone, and we are going to take a 10-point lead, or 11-point lead, rather, over the Volunteers late here in the second half. So the 3rd quarter is going to come to a close. 28-17 is your score. We just need to hold firm, maybe, for another 8 minutes, another 15, air quote, minutes. So on a 3rd and 4, we have a chance to get Tennessee off the field, and it's a nice tackle here to get him stopped before the line to gain. And that was George Leon. He is our freshman right outside linebacker. I got my roster sheet to the side of me, so I take a brief glance at it, but the freshman comes up with a tackle. But on 4th and 1, they're going to go with a fullback dive, and they're going to pick it up rather easily. So that's the biggest frustration, is when you do so good to stop them on the first 3 plays, and then the 4th down is just so easy. So pressure gets to the quarterback on the very next play. I don't know why we couldn't do that on 4th down, but we managed to do it on 1st down. So, and it's going to be Caldwell, who's not one of the 3 main linebackers that we start. He's probably the 4th, 5th guy on the roster. So he managed to make a big play here. Nice for him. So on a 3rd and 17 now, as Tennessee was unable to do anything on 2nd down. So they need a huge pickup here. Quarterback's going to drop back. He's going to float one out there, and it's wide open. It's the tight end in an island over there. He drops it in the bucket, and he perfectly catches the ball, as Carr was able to place that exactly where he wanted it to go. So on a 1st and goal, Tennessee's going to hand it off, and the running back's going to get a favorable tackle animation. He's going to get brought down in at the checkerboard end zone, and that is going to cut the lead pretty significantly here, cut our lead here, as Tennessee, pending the extra point, is going to cut the lead here to just 4 points. So, but they're going to go for 2 because they know that 4 points doesn't help them. So Carr drops back here and unloads it to a wide open receiver in the back of the end zone. I thought maybe his foot was out, but the game's going to say he was in bounds, so he is in bounds. So now it's a 3-point game between us. So if we can just get some points here on 3rd and 7, Cobb unloads another interception. You got to be kidding me. You have to be kidding me, Cobb. Carlos Cobb has had such an amazing season, but then he does stuff like that. I just don't know why he's so prone to just throw these awful balls, after having such a pretty good game, too. So Tennessee set up perfectly, and on the very next play, Carr's going to find an open receiver along the sideline in the corner of the end zone, and he's going to get brought down by Randolph at the pylon for another Tennessee touchdown. So Tennessee is going to actually take the lead after we've led for this entire game. We are finally going to give the lead up here late in the ball game here in the middle of the 4th quarter. So Tennessee now completely in the driver's seat, but on a 2nd and 16, Cobb, we got to get something going. Pressure is on. He unloads, and he finds Chad Whitaker along the sidelines, and he gets brought down at about the Tennessee 46 or 47-yard line. And so we're going to have a little bit of signs of life here, but we got to move, man. 32-28. Field goal is not going to help us. We got to get into the end zone. So Cobb across the middle, and again he's going to find Whitaker, who's just been doing everything. There you see the stat line. If you're just curious about the receiver comparison, Whitaker's been all over the place, man. He's been that guy for us. So on a 2nd and 7, we're going to hand it to Lamont Farrell, and that play is dead to rights in the backfield, but Lamont Farrell cuts up field and finds some open space, and he gets a 1st down and a heck of a lot more. And man, he hasn't been doing much this game, and he's really been silenced by Tennessee's defense, but he manages to get something going. He says, I'm going to get something going. On the next play, we're going to go with an option, and he says, talk to the hand, as he shakes off the one tackler and gets into the end zone for the go-ahead touchdown. So when we really needed it, the offense put together a pretty impressive drive. Lamont Farrell really shows up here in these closing minutes as Cobb gets that ball off just barely, waits to the last second to get it off to throw off Tennessee's defense. And even with men in the vicinity, Lamont Farrell still able to get in open space and create something nice. So on a 3rd and 9 for Tennessee's offense, we got to get them off the field, and we cannot. As it's Ben Matthews, the safety, who's just completely lost out there. That was his guy to hold down, and he could not do it. So Tennessee's going to get a 1st down and a fresh set of downs now just outside the red zone. 2nd and 8, and it's Blackwell, the DB, who's going to pick it off, and it's got it going the other way, and that is going to ice this ball game, folks. Under a minute here, that's going to ice the ball game as Blackwell gets the game-sealing interception. Carr, after throwing an amazing pass to that side of the field, tries to go there again, and it's Blackwell who read it perfectly like a book from a mile away. And so Blackwell makes the huge play. And just in case you're curious about this timeout situation, doesn't matter because Lamont Farrell picks up a go-ahead or the game-icing 1st down. And so Tennessee, even with their timeout, so they can do whatever they want, they're not going to be able to keep us off the field. And we're going to win this ball game 35-32. So it's our closest game probably all year long. Kind of the most, the highest of stakes. I mean, we went back and forth with Ole Miss quite a bit, so we've been playing some tight football here down the stretch. You know, when you start playing like that, that's when you start losing games. So we got to be careful to not slip up here as we get absolutely bailed out by the Blackwell by Mark Blackwell, the sophomore. We get bailed out. So Tennessee outgains us completely. You could honestly argue probably nationally that we did not have any business winning this ball game, especially with the turnover margin. We were awful on third down. I mean, just probably one of the worst games we've played so far this year. The fact that we did manage to win it, man, is just amazing. I didn't even, when I was editing, I didn't even really look at the stats like that at the end of the video. So, I mean, it's interesting. It's really anyone's guess how we won the game because we turned the ball over just as much as they did. Really, I mean, just not a clean football game really from either side. Tennessee with over 400 yards of offense, so you would expect them to win, especially holding us under 400 yards. But Cobb still has a decent game. Lamont Farrell was completely silenced too, only 51 yards, but he does get the touchdown. Chad Whitaker was a beast, man. He was a man amongst boys. But other than that, there's really not a lot receiving-wise to really talk about. Chris Kelly was pretty productive. Carroll had 54 yards, but that's really it, man. Not a whole lot was going on. It was just the Chad Whitaker show completely. We lose this game probably if he's not on the field. So Stephen Collins leads the team in tackles yet again, and with TFLs. And then Ferguson didn't really do much. So coming out of this one, we're going to sum our next couple games here because both LSU and Mississippi State are not really ranked. They didn't really do much. So we do pick up huge wins over both of those teams, and this is starting to look like our years, folks. This is starting to look like destiny for us, man. We are starting to look like that team this year. So we already know what the computer says. So if we can just manage to beat Auburn, we very well might be heading into championship weekend with a ticket to punch to the BCS title. But come back when we play the Iron Bowl, baby.